Okay, so this is the basic introduction part 2 of Excel Office 365, and we'll be looking at cell referencing, relative, absolute, and mixed, and then creating an invoice in Excel 365 using the drop-down list feature. So cell references. Last video, I showed you the auto-fill feature when I hovered at the bottom right of a cell until you saw a black plus sign pop up. And then I left clicked on my mouse and held down that left side of the mouse while I dragged in the desired direction, whether it was to the right going across columns or whether it was down going down a row. And all these autofill values then were placed into the cells that I had highlighted. This could be done with formulas. And then I also showed you it could be done with days of the week, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or months, January, February, March, or anything else that comes in sequential order. There may be circumstances where you will not want a cell reference to change what's being filled into a desired cell. So instead of it being a relative reference, you would call that an absolute reference. And that's where you do not want to change something that's being copied or filled. So to designate a specific formula, holding on to one value, and it could be a value of a column and row, or a value of just a column or just a row. So if it's a column and row, that would be an absolute reference. If you only wanted it to be just a row or just a column, that would be a mixed reference. Now, as I'm saying this to you, it might not make sense, but we're going to have an example. And I'm going to bring you down here to a chart so you can actually at least visualize what would be typed in to the formula bar. So we did this last relative cell referencing. We did this. Equal sign A5 plus B4, meaning whatever value was in A5 was added to whatever value was in B4. Now we're going to be looking at these different types of simplistic formulas. So in this case, this would be called an absolute cell reference because we're using both a dollar sign in front of the column as well as a dollar sign in front of the row. So the cell reference for A5 is absolute. But B4 is not. B4 you adjust accordingly in whatever direction you're filling toward. Now this one would be an example of a mixed cell reference because I don't have a dollar sign in front of both the column and the row. Instead, I only have the column. So the column A here is going to be the one that we're going to keep. So we have equal sign, dollar sign, A5 plus B5. So cell reference for A5 has column A as the absolute value, but the row will adjust accordingly, just as B5 will adjust accordingly to what direction we fill. And this next one is an example of row only. And using these same numbers, I had equal sign A, dollar sign 5. So the dollar sign 5 means we're locking into the fifth row. So the cell reference for A5 has row 5 as absolute, but the column will adjust accordingly, just like B5 will adjust accordingly to what direction we fill toward. I'm going to give you an example of all of these in the exercise we're going to do at the end in a minute. The other thing we're going to look at is how to use the drop-down list feature in Excel. So the way you do that is you select the cell that you're going to want to create the drop-down list in. And on the ribbon, you're going to select the tab Data. And in the Data Tools section, you're going to select Data Validation. A Data Validation pop-up dialog box will come up. And then you're going to click in the Allow section. There's going to be a drop-down list, and you're going to go to Select List. Once you select List, a source box will pop up. And you're going to click inside that source box, and you're going to type all the text or numbers separated by columns with no spaces between them. And that will be whatever will be displayed in that drop-down list. When you're done, you click OK. Now note, if you've made a mistake with the above steps and it's just too disastrous to try to simply go back in and change, you can just go back into that cell, go back to Data, Data Validation, and then click the Clear All, which would be at the bottom left of the dialog box, and then just start all over again. But I'll reference a little later. If you just need to do a small edit, you can follow the same steps and then just make small adjustments to your list. So we're going to create an invoice from an Excel template. I want to create an invoice with sales, including services and products, so that we can look at non-taxable and taxable items, as well as show examples of using both absolute and mixed cell referencing. Let's start by searching templates provided by Office 365. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go to Excel. And then I'm going to come over here to the templates. And we did this in the last video. And I wanted to show you this template right here. I opened up this template and I made it a little bit more custom for myself. Because if you look here, it just kind of gives, everything is going to be blank here. And you need to fill it in. So I'm going to go right into mine. But I wanted to show you where I got it from. I went to the template list and I selected Simple Service Invoice. But I'm going to make it service and product. So I named it Sample Invoice. So I'm going to come up here. And as you can see, I have it as Nicole, the business instructor. This is an invoice. I have my invoice number section here, the date section here, custom ID, and then I'm located in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, but I decided to pick PA, sales tax 8%. And then I put over here, instead of putting an address, since I travel, I just said servicing PA, New Jersey, and New York, and then I would place my phone number, and this is a fake email. Now, over here, whatever I feel comfortable with adding or whatever information I have on the customer, I would add here. I just put a bunch of stuff here. But I think the notes section could be really important because there you could say, you know, thank you very much for your business. And I wanted to just let you know next month we're having a 25% off all office products or whatever note. I mean, or if you're delivering and you say this, you know, this is your tracking number. Please feel free to call me if you haven't received it by this date. So this is where you would put an important message to your customer. Now, here's the main course of our invoice. And this is where I'd want to put the drop-down option because this is where I'm going to list either the product or service that my customer would be purchasing. You know what, before we do that, I remember, it just popped into my head. I remember last video I said, I wanted to show you insert picture, and I said, inserting a picture would be a great thing to do in an invoice. So let's do that. So I'll go to Insert tab, and then I'm going to go to Pictures. I'm going to go this device, and then this is my picture. So then I'm going to bring it over. I think I want it over here. Where'd it go? Let's see. Oh, it went all the way down there. Let me bring that up. I'm going to put it right there. It looks good like that. Okay, think about it. You could put a picture or your company logo, or if you have like a company slogan or a saying that you always have or that you like to put on your receipts. So you could put that anywhere around here. And I would try to make this look as professional, or if you're into designing nails or hair, as creative that you'd like to get with this. But I'd like to keep it pretty professional, so I'm not going to put more than just my picture. All right, so let's go down to creating our service and product list. So as I said, you would go to the Data tab, and in the Data group, or the Data tools, you're going to go to Data Validation. And then from there, this is the Data Validation pop-up box. And under Allow, you're going to search for List. There it is. Once we select List, that's where that source box comes. Now, remember I said you're not going to put any spaces between the comma and the next item. So you could have spaces between the first, you know, whatever it is that you're writing. So for example, my first thing is going to be service package number 1. I could put spaces between there. So I'm going to put service package number 1. I could put spaces there, but now once I put the comma, I'm not going to put a space because I'm going to put the next one is service package number 2. Oh, see, I put a space by mistake. Service package number 3, comma, service package number 4, comma. So those are all my services that I provide. And, you know, I'm sure, I think all states are this way, but I know the state I'm in, service, you do not tax. So that would be my non-taxable item. But I also sell certain office products, especially, to my self-employed or my Simple Start customers that have very small businesses, and they're really just learning how to organize their paperwork and record keeping. So I kind of have a little office package bundle, or I sell them separately. So I'm going to put all the items separately. I usually talk about the bundle when I go for my first meet and greet. So I'm going to start with my binder. The next one is the 3-hole punch. The next one is tabs and divider pack. Notice I'm not putting any spaces after the comma of each item. The next one is pack of labels. The next one is portable file holder. And the last one is usually after I have the initial meet and greet with my clients and we agree that it went well, give him some time, him or her some time to think about what package they want and what they want to purchase. And when they call me in for the second meeting is when I'll have a contract ready for us to sign. And I'll have an invoice ready to print out. And I take half of my service fee down. So I'm going to add to this list agreed upon deposit. All right, so this is done, and I'm going to click OK. So now, whenever I'm ready to develop a invoice for any of my customers, and obviously this would be my sample invoice, and then if I wanted to, I'll always keep this sample invoice, by the way, and when I'm ready to do one, I'll just copy and paste it and then just save it under another name. Because remember, we use Office 365. So if I came into my sample invoice and just started typing on it, it's going to automatically save as I'm typing, and I don't want to lose my very fresh template. So just for future reference, this is probably as far as I would go in saving because I have everything I want on the top, and then I have my drop-down list here, which I can fill in like this. So now I'll have a bunch of drop-down lists, see? And I will not want to go further in typing anything in because then it auto-saves. So this would be my sample template invoice that I will always use. I will just copy and paste it, or like I would go into it and save it as another name and then just type in information. I hope you understand what I'm saying because Office 365 auto saves. All right, so now let's look at our drop-down list. See everything I typed, and I don't see any spaces here, so I definitely didn't put any spaces in the comma. And it's not too bad. If you did put a space, it's just going to be moved over, and you could just go in and edit it if that's what, if you're uncomfortable with that space being there. Okay, so this is everything I typed in there. And I'm going to say for this client, I'm not going to fill the client's information, which I just want to show you how we would fill this out and put simplistic. I'm going to use simplistic formulas. There's other ways to do it as well, but I'm going to start off with something simplistic. So this client said they wanted to do the service package number 1. And when it comes to service packages, there's only going to be one. All right, so the unit price for that is $1,000. It's not taxable. So for this, I'm just going to simply say this is this times this, and it's $1,000. The next one is they purchased 3 binders. They decided they didn't want an office package, but they did have 3 employees, and they decided they'd get a few things from me, so they purchased 3 binders. And I have a brochure that I bring with me, and I would have right there what my price list is. And so that's $20. My binders are $20. And what happens is I like to, in my invoice, specifically put what tax is to each item. The reason why is if a client decides later, I actually said I wanted to purchase the tabs and divider pack, which that's the next thing I'm going to put in, but I found it cheaper at Staples, or I realized I had them, so can you take that off? I'll know exactly what the price was that they paid for that item. So I happen to keep this separate. So this, I like to know exactly what the tax is for each item. Now notice the tax for PA is 8%. Okay, my business is located in PA. So I have to have my sales tax to PA, which is 8%. So the formula that I would put here for the sales tax would be equal sign the C6, which is the quantity, or C17, I'm sorry, which is the quantity, times D17, which is the price. So that's 3 times 20, right? And now I'm going to times that by, now watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring this down for all the products that are going to be purchased. So I want to use an absolute reference here. Okay, so I'm going to put $, and you see this right here, this is F8. So I'm going to put $F, $8. Now let me explain to you why I did that. As I scroll down, all of the items that they purchased, they're going to be multiplying these regular referenced. Okay, these are relative references. So as I drag them down, they're going to go, instead of C17, they'll go C18, C19, and so on. But what will not change is this multiplying it by the 8%. That won't change because I put the $ before the F and the 8, meaning I'm locking in on this cell to be the value that I want to multiply to these items. Okay, so I'm going to push enter, and it's $5. Okay, so now I'm going to put, let me go into the next one before I do that. The next thing that they have is tabs and dividers, and they wanted 3 of them. So I'm going to bring this down a little so we can see the whole list. Tabs and divider pack, and they wanted to purchase 3 of them. And the tabs and dividers are $5 each. So in this one, I'm going to drag this down one, and it should automatically apply the 3 times 15, I'm sorry, 3 times 5, which is 15, I'm doing it in my head, times 0.08. Now what I'm noticing is it is rounding. So that means that I must have this set up to a number field that does not have it to 2 decimal places. And I did this on purpose because it is important that when you're dealing with money, and especially if it's money that's owed to the government, that it is as accurate as possible. So you're going to want to make sure that you have the number set to the $ at the 2 decimal places, okay? So I'm going to come down here, highlight this, and I'm going to go over here to the home, and I'm going to come over here, and I want to make sure that I have it set at 2 decimal places. Okay. See what a difference? Because originally it said $5 and $1. Well, it actually evened itself out, didn't it? But I just wanted you to note that the change actually does make a difference, especially if it went beyond. So if this had been instead $5.40 and it rounded it to $5, that 40 cents is going to come out of my pocket because I still have to owe that money. That money still has to be paid to the state, whether I charge the customer correctly or not. All right, so I just wanted to show you that. I want to take these off. All right, I think I'm going to buy one more product, so I'm going to delete these as well. All right, so let me go to the next thing. So the next office supply they are going to purchase is the portable file folder. So I'm going to select the portable file folder. Where is that? I have to scroll down a little. There it is. And they purchased one of those, and that was at $50. Okay, and when I did that, it automatically had put in the 50 times 0.08 or times 8%, which is $4. Now I need to come up with a formula that is going to add the purchase price, the total amount that they have purchased the items for, plus the sales tax. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put equal sign, and I'm going to just tap on it. I'm going to put C17 times D17, and then I'm going to put plus F17. I'm going to push enter, and it comes out to $64.80. Okay, and once you do that, you could just come down here, and this should come out to $16.20, and this should be $54. So wonderful. Everything is correct so far. So just want to scroll up and say, all right, so I have my service package, which was $1,000, but that is not tax applicable because service fees are not taxed in Pennsylvania. So I just put $1,000 here, but the products that I sell are, so I had to apply the tax. And me, myself, I always like to have each item's tax and the value separate. So in case at any point, because I always sit down with my client, and it might not be until a month or 2 or 3 that I satisfy, my contracts. And at any point they might say, you know what, I don't want the tab and divider pack. So I can go right over here and say, okay, that came out to $16.20. I'll make sure to credit your balance for $16.20. And they could see it clearly as well on their invoice what exactly they get back for that. And remember, I said I have agreed upon deposit. Whenever I meet with my client the second time when we sit down to sign the contract, I ask for 50% of my the service fee up front. So that would be $500. I'm just going to put this over here as a negative $500. Let me put, okay. And I have it set where it goes parentheses and it's red. So my agreed upon deposit from them would be 500, meaning I'm coming here, I'm ready to print this invoice out to give to my client. They're going to be writing me a check for 500 that I'll be depositing and holding on to until my services are finished. And now over here for the total owed, that's going to be equal sum, and I could put it for the whole column if I wanted to for the number values, but I just want to select this because I believe I do have the tax number over there and I don't want to throw it in. So now my client can clearly see they owe $635 by the end of the contract. Okay, and then I would have over here, thank yous for your business. If you have any questions about the invoice, please contact, and then you can put your name, or if you have an employee that handles that, their name, their title, and their information. Okay, so that would conclude my invoice using the drop down. You see, so you come over here and you apply it accordingly. Now, I want to come over here because I want to show you mixed cell referencing. So here we have the list of my packages. I have 4 packages. And just to give you a heads up, like, what am I talking about here? I'm a QBO Pro Advisor. I'm a QuickBook Intuit Pro Advisor. So I go in with companies, I sit down and they come up with a plan on what exactly they want me to do. So they might want me to come in and take whatever existing accounting software they're using and bringing it into QBO, which is the cloud-based software program. So I'm going to come up with a package like, okay, this is the services that I'm willing to provide. So I'm going to, and it depends on what size the business is, how long, is it a year, 2 years, or if it's a couple of months. And then also additional things. And most clients want me to train their employees. And then how many weeks do you want me to train their employees? So based on what they tell me, I decide which package plan is best for them. Okay. Now, if they go with package 3 or 4, I offer a discount where I come up with, I think I just mentioned it when I was doing the list, an office package. And in the office package, I give them 2 binders and a hole puncher, 2 tabs and dividers, 2 labels, and a portable file folder for very inexpensive. But not only that, I also give you an additional discount if you select package number 3 or package number 4, which is $2,000 and $2,500, as an incentive maybe to say, hey, all right, for the extra $500 and I get even more of a discount. Okay. So, and by the way, when I say here 1 package, 2 package, 3 package, because they might decide, well, I want to buy 5 office package because this might be a larger company and they want to give each one of their managers, an office package for their department. Okay, so why I did this is because I want to show you both the row mixed referencing and the column mixed referencing. So here, what I'm going to put here is going to represent what the 5% discount would be for a client that's picking package number 3 with 1 office package. So they're automatically saying, I'm doing package number 3, which is $2,000 for my services. But they're also going to purchase the discounted office package, but 1 of them. So since they're only getting 1, they're going to get a 5% discount. So let's look at what formula I would put here. So remember, you always start with equal signs to let Excel know I'm about to put in a formula. So I want to put the dollar sign on the column B. Why? Because let's see what's B here. B is where I have the numbers for, or the value of package 3 and 4. Package 3 is 2,000, package 4 is 2,500. So I'm going to put equal sign, dollar sign B, because I want to do my column to be, so I'm going to say plus B, 5. And then I'm going to multiply that by parenthesis, because this time I'm not going to separate tax. To not separate tax, you go 1 minus, and then you put whatever the percentage is. Not tax, I'm saying this is percentage off. So the percentage is 5%, but that's in D, what is that? D4. So I put D, and then I put dollar sign 4. Why would I put dollar sign 4? Because I want this to go across the columns, because the 2,000 is going to be the same for each one of these. What changes is up here, the percentage. You understand? So over here, I'm showing someone what package number 3 for $2,000, how much they would get that office package for with the with the discount that they would get off this package deal. I'm going to go across here showing them the different percentages. Okay, so let me push enter and show you what I'm talking about. So I would tell the client, you'd really be paying $2,000 for my services, but if you buy this discounted office, I'm even giving you a discount on the office package, because that's what I do with all my clients. You get a discounted office if you buy it all together. But additionally, I'll give you 5% off your package price. So you're only going to be paying $1,900 for the package 3. Now, what I could do with this 5% is I can drag this down 1, and it's gonna autofill the 2,500 at the 5%. Why? Because here I was holding on to the column B. So it went from 2,000 to 2,500. I hope that makes sense. So they kept the B, but they went up from B5, they went B6. So they took the number that's in B6, and now they multiplied it to this value, 5%. Okay. Now, when I come across to do the 10% and the 20%, when they buy more office packages, they're going to get more of a discount off their package. So let's drag this way and see what happens. So now you can see what happens. Now they're getting 10%. And why did the 10% apply? Because I am putting the percentage here where it's going on the 4, this row right here, this row 4. I had it going from 5% to 10% to 20% by putting that dollar sign in front of the 4. That's what you call mixed reference. So this would be a row mixed reference, an example of a row mixed reference, and this would be an example of a column mixed reference. I hope that made sense. If not, maybe look it over again. But let me just drag down so you can see the prices. And so now when I sit down with the client, I can show them, well, look, this is how much you would pay. For package 4, you would get it for $2,000 if you decided to buy 3 or more of my office bundles. Now, if this is a brand new company and they're very unorganized, they probably, and I can show them, I always bring a sample with me, and they say, oh, wow, this is very impressive. They might say, hey, it's worth it. I saved myself $500 by buying 3 packages with the package 4. All right, so I just wanted to show you how to do the drop-down list, as well as how to use all the different reference styles, the absolute, the mixed, and we already had reviewed the basic relative. So let's go to our last slide where I just kind of summarize it for you. So the drop-down list feature in Excel has its limits because you will be limiting the entries that could be selected in a specific cell. So when I went to my invoice and I had that drop-down, I can't type in there now. I must select one of those items that I put in. Remember, I did service package number 1, service package number 2, service package number 3. So I only can select one of those specific items that are on the list in that particular cell. I can't start typing over. However, you can edit it though. So if I add a new product, suppose I add, a pen holder or a calendar, a desk calendar. So all I have to do is take those same steps that I said above by going to the data tab and selecting data validation. You would do those same steps, but once you get to the source box, you can just simply go in there and add, remove, or edit any items that are already there on the list, because that list will pop up. Okay, so you can always edit that. But if you wanted to do this and you were sending it to your client, they would only be able to select from that drop down. So you would want to make sure you have everything available in that drop down list. Okay, it's great for invoices, stock lists or inventory lists, order forms that you'll send a client, timesheets. If it's timesheets, the employee can click and select their name and how many hours they worked, a job costing form, and much more. So this is a great feature to learn in Excel if you like to use Excel for your business forms. And that's it. That's all I have for this one. I had to believe have one more Excel before I move on to Word. I had a few requests for Word, but anybody who's seen my videos and says, "Hey, I'd like you to cover this or that," put it in the comments, and I certainly will get that covered for you. All right. Thank you for watching.